Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing, is this possibly Bill Belichick's last season in New England? It's kind of sad to see because Bill Belichick is arguably one of, if not the greatest coach we've ever seen in NFL football. He's got 6 Super Bowl rings, the whole dynasty with the Patriots, did so many great things, and then it's like the second Tom Brady left. He had a year where he was kind of okay, he had the good year, and then now hit his past 2 seasons. It's not been looking the prettiest. And so far, within the last 2 weeks as of the recording this, he has suffered 2 of probably his worst losses he's ever had as a coach. He had a 38-3 loss to the Dallas Cowboys, and then a 34-0 loss to the New Orleans Saints. And then in the interview after the loss to the New Orleans Saints, a reporter was asking him, saying like, is there a point of where you're 1-4 now? Do you need to possibly just start over? And it was hard to tell because Bill Belichick mumbles a lot when he talks, but it was kind of along the lines of, yeah, maybe we'll start over. And I think when everybody heard that, that is like, it's an eye-opening moment of, I think he's basically looking at this roster, he's looking at this team and saying like, we have nowhere to go. And I'm wondering if the Patriots front office and ownership, they might be looking at Bill and saying, we'll let you coach the rest of the season, but we might want to move on. So we're gonna get right into this. So pretty much I'm gonna go through, kind of break down everything that kind of has gone wrong with the New England Patriots, kind of the roster, something that's been kind of going bad, maybe front office issues, and so forth. But without further ado, as always, if you're going to enjoy, drop a like. And without further ado, let's get into it. So to kind of start off, let's talk about Bill Belichick's kind of career in a whole. To summarize, as we know, he kind of started off way back in the 90s coaching. His iconic moment was when he was with the Cleveland Browns with Nick Saban. Had a few years where he was trying to do something there. Ultimately, the Browns moved to Baltimore. He moved on, went to New England. When there, they drafted Drew Bledsoe. Things kind of were going okay at the moment, but eventually Tom Brady, he got the starting job, and the rest was history. 6 Super Bowl rings, won 3 from 01, 02, and 04, won another 3 in 14, 16, and 18. One thing about Bill Belichick I think people need to realize is a lot of people are kind of looking at him now that Tom Brady has been gone. Tom Brady, he won the 1 Super Bowl without Bill Belichick, and people are kind of looking at Bill Belichick and saying like, was Belichick even a kind of like a pawn in any of that, or was he just like another guy standing by? Because it begs the question, like I said, Belichick and Brady, they split. It was time to see who was the real person kind of behind the success. Brady leaves, and within 1 year, he wins a Super Bowl. Belichick in that first year, not so much. It took him a year to draft a rookie. Things kind of were looking good, went to the playoffs. They didn't look good against the Bills, but they still made the playoffs at least. Now with Bill Belichick, the thing that he does very well is he coaches his defense at an elite level. This season, not so much. I mean, just as proof, kind of looking over the stats, and I'm looking here, the leading tackler for the team is Kyle Duggar with, I believe, like 36 tackles. And to kind of put it in perspective, the leading tackle right now, or tackler, has 69 tackles right now, and that's Zaire Franklin for the Colts. And then kind of going over to the sacks, Matthew Judon is leading the team in sacks with 4 sacks. The problem now is Matthew Judon, I believe he's been injured, not playing here the past few games, so that does hurt the defense a lot because Matthew Judon is an excellent defensive player. So then it begs the question of, when Judon's not out there, who's going to be the one to step up? Let's see. You got Josh Uche, I think it's how you pronounce it, the linebacker. He's got 2 sacks. Some linebackers have a sack, but then all the players that you expect to be getting the sacks, you know, your edge rushers, your DNs, your D tackles, they all have like no sacks. And then the last thing with this defense is, over the years, Belichick, like I said, he makes his team and builds them on their defense. Turnovers, whether it be a fumble or interception. Did I forget to mention that right now the team only has 1 interception all season, Christian Gonzalez. And that I also forget to mention, Christian Gonzalez, I think, is out for the year now. And then when it comes to turnovers, the team has had a couple of forced fumbles, but fumbles that they recovered, 1. So far through 5 games, they have 2 turnovers. 2. Now let's kind of move on to the offensive side of the ball. What exactly is wrong with the offense? Over the years, we've known Belichick is not really the offensive guru. He's been the defensive guru. He builds his defense, makes them play well. When it comes to the offense, he doesn't really put a lot of attention there when it comes to his receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks, obviously. Quarterbacks, obviously, because he had Tom Brady there all the time. Brady was able to take a lot of these, like, no offense, but water boys, janitor boys, teachers, principals, and make them studs. I mean, look through history. I'm telling you right now, if Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, and guys like Chris Hogan, and the list goes on and on, if those guys were not with Belichick and Tom Brady and they were anywhere else, we wouldn't know their names anymore, like nowadays. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to those guys, because Julian Edelman, he had a Hall of Fame career. Will he get in the Hall of Fame? That's another story. But with that point, that's kind of one of the things that makes Belichick a little bit of a confusing coach. He takes a lot of weird talent, like guys you never even heard of. When it comes to the draft, he could have a first-round pick, top 10 pick, and everybody could expect him to go draft like this very good player. But he'll draft a guy that, for a lot of mock drafts, where it was a player that was projected to be like in the 3rd round. And it's like in the past, you would say, like, it's a head-scratching moment, but then again, it's Bill Belichick. He knows what he's doing. They'll win a Super Bowl one way or another. But nowadays, with them not doing good, you're kind of looking at these rosters and saying, I don't think Belichick should be one drafting or even going in free agency being the one selecting these players. And that's kind of the big problem. When we look at Belichick's numbers over the years, he's not been the best drafter. And for those of you who do not know, the ones that do know, Belichick is the GM and the coach for this team, which means he selects the players and then he also obviously coaches them. I'd say for at least 90 to 95% of other teams in the NFL and even around other sports, baseball, basketball, etc., there is a general manager and then a coach. The general manager builds a team, the coach coaches the team. And that's the way it kind of should be, because then you don't have that power influence going on right now. Now, I was watching Get Up and I was watching some of the guys on there. They were talking about how Belichick will never give up his reins as a kind of right now as general manager of this team, because he's won 6 Super Bowls. What are you going to do? Walk into his office and say, hey, Bill, we don't want to have you call or be in the GM anymore. We don't want you picking the players. We'll take over that. You now can just focus solely on being a coach. Maybe it takes some stress off of him. I can already picture the conversation. Hey, Bill, we want you to be a coach for now. We're going to hire a general manager. We'll let you kind of help out, pick who it's going to be, but we just want to let you know. And then Bill Belichick's going to say, I won 6 Super Bowls for you. Get out of my office. Something along those lines. Now, when we look at this season, it's pretty much a wrap. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right now. They got Vegas next. Maybe they could win that game. They got Buffalo. Probably going to lose that game. And if I was going to go and just kind of do it by record, right now they are 1-4. Maybe you go 2-4, 2-5 with Buffalo, 2-6 with Miami. Maybe you beat Washington. Maybe you get lucky against Indianapolis. You could be 4-6. New York could win. The season is somewhat salvageable, but at what cost? Realistically, when I look at the schedule, they could possibly come out of this with 7 wins. But then that begs the question of, is it worth it? Because I've seen a lot of analysts talking about something kind of interesting. What if, stay with me, instead of going for 7 wins, I guess it's called playing for moral support, to be happy for yourselves, trying to maybe get those 7 wins and then you end up with like 14th, 15th, 16th pick. It's very clear that they don't want to keep Mac Jones. I haven't seen if they picked up his 5th year option yet. What if they don't take the 5th year option? He's going to be done after this. He will have his 3rd year done after the season. Next year, his next season. He's going to want a contract. New England can basically obviously say, yeah, we're not giving you your contract. And what they can do is tank the rest of the season, which I don't think Belichick will do, but it could be an idea. Tank this season, come back next season with, hey, Caleb Williams. Because when you look at next year's draft class, with those quarterbacks coming out, Belichick just has to get one of them. And I think this team can roll. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the offense, it seems like it's bad. It's obviously bad. But Mac Jones, I would say, is about 50% of the problem. Mac Jones, the way he throws the ball is very weird. I'm trying to figure out, was he good at Alabama and then now in the NFL it's just something has gone wrong and maybe New England broke him? Or was he not really that good at Alabama and just he was put into like the most perfect system that you could not fuck it up? I'm gonna go with say he's bad, not super bad. He's struggling with sometimes with the reads, the throws he's making, and also he's not getting help. The offensive line's not helping. New England used to have a really good offensive line, not anymore. New England always has had bad receivers. They continue to have those. But like I said with the quarterbacks, tank the season, come back next year, and I mean I'll go down the list of the quarterbacks this Bill Belichick could choose from. Like I said with Caleb Williams, you could go maybe with a Drake May. You could go with a Quinn Ewers. Hell, if you don't want any of them, Shedeur Sanders, I don't know if he's going to come out in this draft, but he'll be up there. And for some reason, if Belichick decides we're going to stick with Mac Jones, you have 2 stud receivers in Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison Jr. you could go with. Right there is about like 7 or 8 guys you could go with, all like within the top 10. And there's probably going to be some other teams that might not need a quarterback, might not need an offensive player. They might go the defensive route because there's going to be a lot of defensive players as well in this top 10. So all Belichick has to do is just tank the season to a point of at least get top 5. Like realistically, looking at how bad these teams are, if he can just win 4 games, which it's stupid to say just win 4 games, but you have the lifetime lottery hit right there. You have 4 quarterbacks, 2 pass catchers, possibly a 3rd pass catcher in Emeka Buka, also coming out of Ohio State, could be a great talent. I feel like right there, that would turn things around. Now to kind of wrap it up, there's the opposite route. What happens if Belichick just decides, like we said, just call it quits? Here's the thing that's funny. Would Belichick be able to have this ownership in this front office be able to come in and talk to him and say, we want you to tank, we want you to be gone next year? Here's the problem with that. I don't think Robert Kraft would ever actually fire Belichick. They would never actually fire him. They talk to him, see if he wants to just go away, I guess kindly and peacefully. Now, if Belichick does it, I think that'll come down to him just being like, I've done everything I can. It's the end of the road. Problem is, I don't see that happening. So ultimately, it comes down to this. Robert Kraft, you might have to grow some balls and make the tough choice and fire him. Or Belichick has to look around after the season if they only win like 4 or 5 games, and he'll have to make the decision of, do I want to come back next year with a litter of talent right here in this draft, and I can maybe select a really good quarterback? And I would say at least 2 of them, and Caleb Williams and maybe Shedeur Sanders. You can't fuck it up with those 2 guys. Those guys are going to carry your team. Drake May and Quinn Ewers, those guys you might need to develop a little bit, but Williams and Sanders, you can't fuck those talents up. And with that, Belichick might look at them and say, maybe I'll give it 1 more year. So I'm going to wrap it up with this. What is my prediction? I'm going to say he'll play out this year. I'm going to say the Patriots are going to probably actually get about 6 wins by the end of the season. But with that, they might be on the outside of the top 10 with the draft picks, and they're going to be way past getting a shot at any of these quarterbacks. Belichick is going to do as usual. He'll probably draft some weird offensive lineman in the late that could have been selected in the 2nd round up there at the top 10. Maybe he'll select like a defensive player because he likes defense, obviously. And then it all comes down to the coaching staff as well with his coordinators. Bill Bryant is his offensive coordinator. I feel like they need a really good defensive coordinator because clearly we are seeing, like I said in the intro of the video, when you lose 38-3 and 34-0, defense stinks. So what I want you to do is drop in the comments down below. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think he'll retire? Do you think he'll have to get fired? Do you think he'll come back and play another season or coach another season? Do you think maybe they'll take the at least general manager reins away from him to make his job easier, towards like, I don't have to worry about coaching and also worry about future prospects and also try to find free agents. He can just coach the team. But without further ado, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you wanted to enjoy today's video, as always with all the videos that I do post here, make sure you do drop a like. It's very much appreciated if you do so. Like I said before, if you have an opinion on kind of how this whole thing's going to play out, if you think it is Belichick's last season in the NFL, if you think he'll get fired, retire, coach another season, whatever's going to happen, let me know down in the comment section down below what you think is going to happen with him. If you are brand new to the channel and you're a fan of the content that I do post here, I post all sorts of sports content here on the channel, especially Ohio State and Cleveland sports stuff. So if you're a fan of that kind of stuff and you want to go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And don't forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified the second I post. But without further ado, this has been Del Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.